Welcome to my favorite time of the year. It is opening day of the 2025 Stanley Cup playoffs. I'm going to do my bracket once again. We're going to make it pretty quick today. I got a lot going on today, so we're going to try to hurry up. We got a really intriguing bracket on our hands. Some teams that have been in the last couple of years, some pretty new faces. Welcome Ottawa, welcome St. Louis, welcome Montreal. It's a really intriguing bracket first round in particular, so let's just jump right into it. First matchup, we have the President's Trophy Winnipeg Jets taking on my St. Louis Blues. And for me, we're starting with the toughest one. I don't know how to play this one. Both teams are battling with injuries. The Jets are going to be without Nikolai Ehlers most likely, and the Blues have been dealing with life without Dylan Holloway. So pretty even there. This is going to come down to goaltending. Regular season wise, Connor Hellebuyck is the best goalie on planet Earth right now. No questions about it. He's going to win his second straight Vezina Trophy. He might win the Hart Trophy this year. Jordan Binnington had a rough start to the season, was pretty good after the Four Nations, notably won the Four Nations tournament. I don't know how to play this one as a Blues fan. In my heart of hearts, obviously I want them to win the series, but if I'm being honest with myself, I think the most likely outcome is Winnipeg in 6 or 7 games. So this is my bracket. I'm going to pick the Blues to win in 7, but in reality, I would say it's about a 60-65% chance Winnipeg does win the series, but it's my bracket. Blues win. Moving on. We have a really good matchup here. Dallas against Colorado. This is, I believe, the third time in the last 6 years that they are facing off in the playoffs. Dallas won in 2020 in 7 games, and last year they won in 6 games. In the second round, Matt Duchene's overtime goal sending them forward. On paper, man, I thought this was going to be Dallas's year. Some of the moves they made, the foundation they were building, conference finals the last 2 years, bringing in a guy like Mikko Rantanen, who started the season with Colorado, you may remember, went to Carolina, now is on Dallas. But things have just not gone well for them lately. Obviously, there's some injury issues as well. Miro Heiskanen has been out the last couple of months. Now they're without Jason Robertson. They had a really bad end to the regular season. And Colorado obviously has been very tumultuous all season long. But the high-end talent is there. Cale Makar is going to win the Norris Trophy. Nathan MacKinnon is still at the top of his game. They look like they're finally getting Gabriel Landeskog back for the first time in 3 years. Who knows what kind of jolt that's going to give that locker room. I think this is a great time to be a Colorado Avalanche fan. They're going to take down the Dallas Stars, I'll say, in 6 games. Next up, we have the Vegas Golden Knights, who are looking to avoid the first time in franchise history going 2 straight years without a conference final appearance. That's how good they've been. They lost in the first round to Dallas last year. And the Minnesota Wild, who missed the playoffs last year and looked really good to start the year, but have had a really rough second half, mostly due to some injuries. They lost Real Kaprizov and Joel Eriksson for a little bit during the season. If this were around December, I would say this would be a 7-game dogfight. But the way that the season has kind of played out for the Wild, they feel like they're kind of running on fumes at this point in the season where Vegas is getting hot at the right time. They had their injuries as well. It's Vegas. They always have injuries. Guys like Mark Stone were able to come back. They look really good right now. I'm going to take Vegas to win this, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's a sweep. I'll give Minnesota 1 game. I'll say gentleman's sweep, but Vegas is going to win this series. Next up, round 4 between the LA Kings and the Edmonton Oilers. In 2022, the Oilers beat them in 7. 23, they beat them in 6. Last year, they beat them in 5. This year, however, the Kings have home ice advantage, and they have been unbelievable at home this year. They are on fire as of late. They ended the season so well. Darcy Kemper, their goalie, no one really knew what to expect in the PLD for Darcy Kemper trade. It's been a huge win-win. PLD has been great for Washington. Darcy Kemper could be a Vezina Trophy finalist. He's been that good for the Kings. And we know what he can do. He has won a Stanley Cup with the Colorado Avalanche before. Obviously didn't need to take on a huge role on that team. They were so good in 22, but he's been there, done that. And the Oilers are not the Oilers of last year. They brought in so much offense this offseason, getting guys like Jeff Skinner and Victor Arvidsson, adding guys like Jake Wallman and Trent Frederick at the trade deadline. And They can outscore you, no questions asked. But I think in a tight game, I really question their ability to find ways to win. Obviously, like with Colorado, we know the high end talent is there. We know what Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl can do in the playoffs. They battled injuries though. This does not feel like Edmonton's year. And for the first time since winning the Cup in 2014, the Los Angeles Kings are going to move on in the playoffs. What I say, the Blues will win in seven, Avs in six, Vegas in five. Kings will win in six. We'll call that good, and we'll move on to the Eastern Conference now. And whereas the Blues are the toughest team for me to pick because they're my team, the Toronto Maple Leafs are the toughest team to pick because they're the Toronto Maple Leafs. They are the top seed in the Atlantic facing the Ottawa Senators, who had not made the playoffs since 2017. Battle of Ontario. This is going to be an awesome series to watch. Toronto is impossible to pick because on paper, looking at this team, looking at this lineup, looking at their record, they should probably make the conference finals. They have a very good chance to beat Tampa Bay or Florida if they get past the first round. But it's Toronto and it's the first round. The likeliest option is them losing in 7 games. They've done it just about every single year aside from 2023 when they lost in 5 in the second round of Florida. How do you even analyze this team? I will say I really like what Craig Berube has done. I'm a huge Craig Berube fan. He knows how to win the playoffs, and he's never had the talent like Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, and John Tavares in the playoffs before. This Ottawa team, though, man, they are feisty. Brady Tkachuk is an animal. He is meant for the playoffs. I'm so excited to see what he's going to be able to do now that he is in this spotlight. They got great goaltending in the offseason with Linus Ullmark. He's been great for them when healthy. I think this goes 7 games. Man, I'm going to do it. I'm going to pick Toronto. And just looking at it, my analysis, I don't see how Toronto doesn't win this series. At some point, it's got to change. It's the last year with Mitch Marner. They're going to win this series. Moving on. Tampa Bay and Florida. So the Atlantic is awesome this year. We get the Battle of Ontario and the Battle of Florida. This series is going to be awesome. Tampa Bay, Florida has become such a great rivalry in the last couple years. This is the 4th time they faced off in the last 5 years, I believe. Tampa Bay won in 2021. They swept them in 2022, and then Florida dominated them in the first round last year. Man, this is a great time to be a fan of the Tampa Bay Lightning. It feels like they're getting hot at the right time. This is the best version of Vasilevsky, in my opinion, maybe since his Conn Smythe in 2021. Meanwhile, the Panthers, they battled injuries. Yes, they bought at the deadline. They got Brad Marchand. Him and Matthew Tkachuk, who's finally going to be back healthy, is going to be a pain in the butt to deal with. They brought in Seth Jones, who's been pretty good for them too. Sergei Bobrovsky had a great playoff last year. Was probably the front runner for Conn Smythe until about Game 4 of the Cup final. Either one of these teams could make the conference final without question. But I think at the end of the day, part of what's going to hurt Florida not only is our injuries, but also just the fact that they're running on gas. We saw Tampa Bay lost in the first round 2 years in a row after they had 3 straight years in the Cup final. That's a lot of hockey. Florida has been in the Stanley Cup final twice, went to 7 last year. I just think they're running on gas, or they're running out of gas. I like Tampa Bay in this series. I think this is going to be another really long series. I bet it goes 7 games if I had to guess, but I'll give it to the Lightning, so we'll have an all-blue Atlantic final between Toronto and Tampa Bay. Moving on to the Metro, how great is it to see the Washington Capitals this good again? Did not expect it for the rest of Ovechkin's career, but they had the best offseason, in my opinion. Spencer Carberry is going to win the Jack Adams as well. And they take on an upstart Montreal Canadiens team, which it's great to see them in the playoffs as well. Lane Hudson is a dynamo of an offensive defenseman. That team's really fun to watch with Martin St. Louis as coach. And, in a way, I would say this is the typical learning experience here for Montreal. Get into the playoffs, win a game or two, put up a fight, lose, learn for the years to come, because their window hasn't even opened yet. They're going to be good for years to come. But Washington hasn't won a series since 2018 either. Their Cup final win over Vegas was the last series that they won. They've had issues in the playoffs when they got there under Todd Reardon, under Peter Laviolette. They got swept last year. Lucky to be in it, honestly, when they got manhandled by the Rangers. It all comes down to Logan Thompson for me. For most of the year, he was probably going to finish second in Vezina voting, kind of cooled down a little bit after 4 Nations. But at the end of the day, I think the Capitals do have a better team. And Montreal Sam Montembeau's had a good year. They're going to put up a fight, like I said. I think this goes 6 games most likely, but it will be Washington winning and going back to their nemesis in the second round. And we close it out with the 2-3 in the Metro, the Hurricanes versus the New Jersey Devils. I don't know if any team in North America has had a more tumultuous 2025 other than the Dallas Mavericks as the Carolina Hurricanes. The Mikko Rantanen saga was crazy. They gave up Martin Necas to get him. He doesn't even last 2 months. Contract, they weren't going to get him signed to a contract. You can't afford to lose him in free agency. You had that happen with Jake Gensel. Can't have that happen twice in a row. So they trade him to Dallas. They get Logan Stankoven back, but man, that is not the same as Mikko Rantanen. It feels like the vibes are not great in Carolina right now, especially the way they ended the season. I know they were resting some guys. They had some injury issues, but not a great look to end the regular season. However, all credit to the Devils. They look like a much better team this year. Jacob Markstrom was a good move. Sheldon Keefe was a good move. Luke Hughes is developing. But the injuries, man. Dougie Hamilton's hurt. Jack Hughes is hurt. If you don't have those players, you don't win this series. I'm sorry, but I got to go with the Carolina Hurricanes. I say it goes 5 games, to be honest with you. 5 for Carolina, 6 for Washington, 7 for Tampa Bay, 7 for Toronto, and we move on. Now, the second round, the Blues and the Avalanche in the Central. They face off a couple times as well. Colorado's got the upper hand in both of those matchups. And I love my Blues. We've played well against Colorado this year, but in the playoffs, man, it's a different beast. I don't think the Blues have the firepower, especially on the back end, to keep up with guys like McKinnon and Makar at full speed. As good as Philip Broberg's been, as much of a revelation Cam Fowler's been, I just think late into games, they're just going to run out of gas, and Colorado's going to overwhelm the Blues, and they will move on to the conference final. In Vegas and LA is a great matchup. This one's really intriguing, no matter how you look at it. This one I could totally see going either way. Like I said, Vegas has made the conference final so many times in their franchise history. They've never missed it 2 years in a row, and this would be the first time that happened. I think the fact that it's in Vegas is a pretty big key because, like I said, the Kings have had such big home ice advantage. But man, something feels good about this Kings team this year. I like the way that they're coming into the playoffs. They're white hot, like I said, and I think Darcy Kemper is going to steal them a game in Vegas. They're going to take advantage of the games in LA, and we're going to see the Los Angeles Kings in the conference final with that new logo. I love their rebrand. I think they did a better job with their rebrand than Anaheim did. Moving on to the second round, we've got Leafs and Lightning. This is going to be a great series. They've developed a pretty good rivalry, too. They faced off in 22 and 23. 22 went to Tampa, 23 went to Toronto. I am really impressed with how Tampa Bay didn't even rebuild. They just kind of reworked their roster. They got rid of Mikhail Sergachev. They let Steven Stamkos walk in free agency. Guy like Brandon Hagel's taken a really big step. He's been phenomenal this year. Jake Gensel was a really good move for them. Vasilevsky's back to being prime Vasilevsky. Nikita Kucherov won the Art Ross Trophy. He could win the Hart as well. Tampa's just a machine, man, and they are battle tested. It's not ancient. It's history, but it's not ancient history. Their 2 Stanley Cup wins in 2020 and 2021 made it to the final in 2022. 2 years off. They're going to get right back to the conference finals. Tampa Bay is going to win this series, probably in 6 games. Meanwhile, Capitals and Hurricanes. This is going to be another one that I think comes down to goaltending. I don't know what to expect out of Kochetkov in the playoffs or Logan Thompson, to be honest with you. Logan Thompson was better in the regular season, obviously. I think the Capitals do have a better team. Both of these teams are coming into the playoffs not looking great. It's been a rough end of the regular season for both of them. But in the second round, that's going to be ancient history. I think the Capitals are going to have a little bit of a tougher time with Montreal, which could work to their advantage. If the Carolina Devils series goes the way I expect, it could get it's one of those series that could be over with before it even starts, which could come back to hurt Carolina. I think Washington's going to be locked in at this point of the season, and they will move on to the conference finals. So we have the Avs, Kings, Lightning, and Capitals in the conference finals in 2025. So starting on the right, we got the Darcy Kemper Cup or Rob Blake Cup, depending on how you slice it. Avalanche and Kings. We got been there, done that versus other than Drew Doughty and Anze Kopitar. Haven't been there, haven't done that. Um, this is going to be a phenomenal series. There's so many question marks with both of these teams. We have not seen this Kings team go deep in a long time. Besides, like I said, Anze Kopitar and Drew Doughty were on that two cup team in the early 2010s. We know what they can do. How can they lead a young team with guys like Quinn Byfield, Philip Deneau, Adrian Kempe into battle against a team that is so loaded and so proven like Colorado? I think this is going to be a phenomenal series. I think this could go either way, but I hate to do it. I think I'm going to have to go with the Colorado Avalanche to win this. It's been a really tumultuous season for them, like I said, but it feels like they're clicking at the right time. They made such great moves throughout the season to improve their goaltending in particular. A guy like Charlie Coyle was a really good move for them, in my opinion. He's had great playoff success before. He was great for Boston in 2019. They need some of that depth scoring, and I think it's going to show up for them this year. Conference finals in the East is Tampa Bay Washington, a rematch of 2018 that the Capitals took in 7 games en route to their only Stanley Cup. Another really interesting matchup, but man, all credit to Ovechkin and the Capitals. I want to see Ovechkin win another cup. He's probably going to play one more year. He's a free agent after 2026. It'd be awesome to see him get a second one, but I'm telling you, something feels different about this Tampa Bay team. Looking at their roster, looking at how they've played out throughout the season, it just feels like a cup winner to me. And I think I got to go with that. I'm going to pick them to win the East. So it's going to be Colorado Tampa Bay in the Stanley Cup final, rematch of 2022. And unlike 2022, man, I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Lightning. This feels like Tampa Bay's year. Everything about them, their scoring, their defense, their goaltending, their coaching, everything feels like it's at the top of its game. And the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to win their 4th Stanley Cup in franchise history. How many goals will there be in the finals? This is a very offensive-heavy series. So I'll say it goes 6 games, about 6.5 goals per game. We'll call it an even 40. And we'll submit our bracket. But that's how I see this playing out. Avalanche, Kings, Lightning, Capitals in the conference finals. And then the Lightning will beat the Avalanche in 6 to win the Stanley Cup. Last year I went 8 for 8 in the first round and only got one second round matchup right. So this could go either way, to be honest with you. So let me know what you guys think. I can't wait for game 1 to get started. Enjoy the playoffs, everybody. We'll talk again soon.